Welcome back, everybody, to this week's edition of the PGA DFS Pick Show. I am your host, John McNutt. You can find me on socials at JohnCool19. Here talking the Players Championship on DraftKings for Fantasy Sports Insight. As always, all stats on this show are powered by Fantasy National Golf Club. If you haven't been over to their site, absolutely check them out. Best in the business as far as stats go. Quick recap of last week. Kurt Kitayama pulled it out. A really fun event. I was certainly rooting for Hatton down the stretch, but I had 6 out of 6 make it in cash, including Hatton there, and McIlroy was in my cash lineup, so both of those guys finishing top 5 helped me to a profitable week. Hopefully, we can roll it into this week here. Again, this is TPC Sawgrass, the Players Championship, biggest prize pool ever for this event. So if you're playing one and dones, big prizes this week. Absolutely needing to use a star, in my opinion. Not a time to go down the board and pick somebody more of a long shot. Obviously, last week, Kurt Kitayama winning a very tough event, but nobody in the main one and done contest hit Kurt Kitayama. So certainly this is another week. Just don't even worry about it. Pick somebody up near the top and don't try and get cute this week. So a bit about the course. TPC Sawgrass is played in Punta Verde Beach, Florida. It's a par 72, 7,200-yard course looking at Bermuda grass greens. And always good to note this is a Pete Dye design. We're looking at a difficult course. You need to be able to go point to point on this course. So it is much more of an accuracy based versus a lot of the other courses. There will be layups on a lot of holes this week. This is not going to be a competition of who can drive it the farthest. Small advantage for longer drivers. Much bigger advantage for the guys who are going to end up in the fairway more often. And from the talk of it, it sounds like the rough has been grown up this week, making things even more difficult for those who miss the greens. Something to think about here. This course has a ton of hazards. I believe 17 out of 18 holes have water in play here. It is just an absolute mess. If you are inaccurate, expect a ton of big numbers. Even for the stars, if you look back at golfers who've won this event or played well, they've all missed the cut too. This is a course where you can absolutely pop and win, and the very next time out, you can miss the cut because there is so much danger looming on every single hole. So really, the volatility here is very high. I am going to be doing my DraftKings lineups. A lot of it will be based around ownership. I don't want to be on chalk guys who are going to bust. I would much rather have some lower owned plays this week, seeing as how the volatility, anybody could pop this week, in my opinion. So I'm going to go through some guys that I do really like. I'll mention their ownership. As far as cash plays, I will be playing quite a bit of cash this week. And ownership, I don't care at all about ownership when it comes to cash plays. So some of the guys that I mentioned on here might be more suited for a cash play versus GPP based on that projected ownership. Some key stats to look at this week. Ball striking as always, but absolutely it is a must this week. The best ball strikers tend to rise to the top here at this course. Greens and regulation. The greens can be pretty darn difficult to hit here. They're going to be firm and lightning fast. So a lot of rollouts. So looking for guys to play good around the green as well. But that ball striking needs to be on point this week if you want to win. Greens and regulation, certainly I'm playing it heavier than I usually do. It's kind of more of like an approach stat, if you will. But I really do. I hammer that in my model every year here at this course. Greens and regulation. I mentioned the drive accuracy earlier, how important that is. You can also kind of add to that bogey avoidance, double bogey avoidance with all of the hazards in play here. Minimizing that is essential. Bermuda grass putting as well, I added in there. And then course history, as far as I said, this is very volatile, but when you look at data golf, it kind of shows that this is one of the top 5 or so courses when it comes to a correlation for course history and future play on the course. So I do like course history quite a bit this week. I'll probably consider it a bit more in my cash lineups versus GPP. If I'm going low ownership, I'm not going to be able to play all the guys who've played well here before. The field is gravitating towards some of them as of right now based on projected ownerships. So that is the bulk of what I'm looking at. I'm going to include scrambling in my modeling as well this week. and some par five scoring. There are 4 par 5s. They can absolutely be gotten into if the wind plays nice this week. And so far, it looks like it's not going to be awful. If you remember last year, everybody was trying to stack the correct wave and get a wave advantage on this course. And then the rain came in, washed a complete day of golf away, and it flip flopped. The wave advantage was completely gone for what we thought was going to happen. But the wind here, when it picks up, this course is just very, very tough. It's a tough course already, but if the wind starts to play hazard on this course, watch out, lots and lots of big numbers. So I would include that in the modeling at a lower level, just kind of based on what it looks like this week for projections. So let's go ahead and jump into my favorite plays right at the top here. I shouldn't say the very top, but Rory McIlroy at 11,000 on DraftKings. I like him a ton this week. He is 9-1 outright, depending on what site you look at. He is now the betting favorite to win this event. He was runner-up last week and also has wins at the CJ Cup in October and then in Dubai in January. So the form is very good here for Rory. He's got good course history too. He won this event in 2019. He has 3 more top 10s, but mixed in there, he's got 3 missed cuts too in his last 9 tries at this event. So again, even the best golfers can absolutely slip up on this course. Rory is excellent on par 5s, one of the top in the field. And then as far as the last 50 rounds, he's #1 ball striking, #1 tee to green, #1 bogey avoidance, and he's #3 in that greens in regulation. A lot to love about Rory. We'll see where the ownership goes. I'm thinking that he is probably going to be the highest owned of the 3 big studs. That's Rahm, Rory, and Scotty Scheffler, probably with Rahm being a little less owned than Rory. But for now, my favorite play at the top is Rory McIlroy. I'm also going to be playing quite a bit of Max Homa. If you've been watching golf the last month or so, he is absolutely on a heater. He's made all 7 cuts this season. 2 of those were wins. He's got a runner-up and a 3rd place as well, playing really, really good golf. His course history here, he missed the cut in 2021 and then came back last year, 13th place. So certainly can play well on this course. He excels on difficult scoring courses as well. And then his last 50 rounds, 23rd ball striking, 17th tee to green. He is 20th around the greens, and he is top 5 scrambling as well. I think Max Homa fits in as a nice start to your cash lineups if you don't want to go over that 10K mark. I think for cash, a lot of people are just going to go balanced. Really easy with the pricing this week to get a couple guys in that low 7K range and then just hammer kind of the 9 and high 8K range. That's going to be a typical cash build if you ask me in this event. But Max Homa kind of fits any sort of build that you want to go with. So again, I like a lot of Max Homa to start my cash lineups and some GPPs this week. So talk some values and pivot plays now. First of all, for value, this is Jason Day. He's at 28-1 outright to win, 8,000 on DraftKings. Excellent DraftKings price. I've seen a lot of people are hammering him in the outright market to win. Don't hate that at all. 28-1 is a good number for a guy that's in excellent form. He's got 4 straight top 10s on tour right now. That includes 10th place last week, and he's made 9 out of his last 10 cuts on tour. He did miss the cut at this event last year, but he won in 2016. He also has 3 additional top 10s on this course, so he has played here very, very well in the past. His last 50 rounds, he is 25th ball striking, 15th greens in regulation. He is 6th in that bogey avoidance and also top 10 in scrambling. So he fits the model very, very well. Should do well this week. Only concern there is ownership. I think he is going to be one of the top 3 or 4 highest owned golfers in the field on DraftKings. If you're playing GPP lineups, that is pretty scary for an 8K guy. I think you just kind of have to make a decision if you want to play, upwards to 35-40% of your lineups with Jason Day, or fade him outright when it comes to playing in GPP like big MME tournaments. It's going to be tough to fit a lot of Jason Day in, but I think he's an excellent option for your cash lineups. And then if you want to get him into GPPs, you're probably just going to have to go really heavy. One more value play I really like this week. Another guy that'll probably be very popular. That's Keegan Bradley. He's at 7,500 on DraftKings. I've got him looking about 50-1 outright to win. A lot of people are betting him to win as well this week. Very, very popular and some excellent course history. I think he's the only golfer who hasn't missed a cut in the last 5-6 years as far as this event goes. So certainly looking Keegan Bradley's way as more of a course history guy. He's also in really good form. He was top 10 last week. I had an excellent Sunday. I know we played him a lot at FSI this past week. So yeah, give me some more Keegan Bradley this week. Watch out on the ownership once again, but probably a really, really good cash play, I think, is Keegan. So some pivot plays give you some ownership leverage in this field. I'm going to start near the top, and that's at Tony Finau, 9,200. He's typically a very, very popular golfer. I think the problem is all the talent around him and the course history is not good. So I have him projected maybe somewhere around 11% ownership right now. That's lower than other guys near him, JT, Hovland, Zalatoris. He rates out really, really well, though. He's actually higher in my model than all of those guys. But he's only made 2 cuts in 6 tries at this event. His highest was a 22nd place finish. But Tony Finau, his last year or so, he's been playing much better golf, in my opinion. He's got some wins under his belt here the last year or two. So Tony Finau is a guy I'm going to look at for some ownership leverage, low 9K range. And one more, that is Tom Hoge. He is a guy that's he's played really well actually this year. I'm looking ownership wise, he's probably going to be under 10% owned, and a lot of that has to do with who is in the pricing right next to him. Keegan Bradley that I mentioned, Corey Connors, always a good cash play, and Keith Mitchell. All those guys are coming in like 15+% ownership. So I think Tom Hoge a little bit under owned, under 10%. He has miscut 2 of his last 3 events, but what we know with Tom Hoge, the ball striking is always very good. He can be very, very accurate and kind of go point to point on courses that, like I mentioned before, I think he is a very good fit for this course and will certainly give you some leverage on the ownership if you're playing him versus some of those other guys I mentioned, like Keegan and Corey Connors. So that is going to be it as far as the pivot plays go. Quick mention, one and done. This is the Pat Mayo Open. I moved up just a couple spots last week. I did have a T4 with Hatton. That was really good. But a ton of people had Rory McIlroy as well as Scotty Scheffler. Both of those guys finished in the top 4. Rory at 2nd place last week. So as much as I gained ground on the field as a whole, I really didn't pass anybody in this contest, but I'm happy with the T4. That is 4 straight weeks. I have a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and now a T4. So hopefully roll that up this week. Give me Rory McIlroy. This is a very, very big prize pool, like I mentioned before. No reason to get cute here. I played around with maybe like some Jason Day, which I think he's going to be super popular as a one and done option. People are starting to think, oh, I've got to save some guys for the majors. I've got a few in mind myself for who I'd like to play at the majors. Although Rory fits into that, I'm going to go ahead and play him here at an event he's won before. Huge prize pool, great form. Give me Rory. Hopefully he can turn that into a win for me, be a huge chunk in the one and done competition. So that is going to do it for this week's show. I appreciate you watching. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. As far as core plays, weather updates, and any ownership that we'll be talking about in the Discord chat. Best way to find that is through our Twitter handle at FSI_DFS. You can also go right through the website, FSIDFS.com. I appreciate you watching, and good luck this week.